The All Things TechIE Podcast is a product of the Extreme Media Network. For advertising and sponsorship opportunities, please visit www.extrememedia.ie. That's XTREME media.ie.
Audio-visual from an Irish perspective. This is the All Things TechIE Podcast.
Well, hello to you. It's Justin Dawson. I'm back. Where have I been? It's the All Things TechIE Podcast, episode 57. And guys, I can't believe it's been months. It's been since March the 13th since I last did a podcast. Wow, that's a long time ago. Well, what's been happening? Well, have a look at this. This is where it started to be a 2-week project for converting my attic at home and making it into my new office and studio. And 2 weeks became 2 months nearly as we waited for carpets and bits and pieces. And then there's no such thing as an easy project, is there? There's never such thing as an easy project. And we were waiting for carpets and blinds. And then we had little incidents where a little bird got in underneath one of the slates of our roof and got into the eaves of the attic, and we heard this little scuttering noise, so we had to empty out all our storage out onto the main floor of the attic, and didn't find any bird. The bird actually must have got out some way as well, as the same way it went in, and couldn't find a hole, so that held up things as well. But I'm back, and if you want to hear and read more about what I've been doing in the past couple of months, including being an advocate for autism and the battles that I've had with that, you can check it out on my website, www.justinordawson.com. But I am back, and it's been great to get back. And you know what? It's great to see things getting back into action after, well, can we say after COVID? There is COVID still, but more caution, people got vaccinated, and we're back, you know, and live trade shows are back. No, I wasn't at ISE and I wasn't at InfoComm, but here's some photos going through if you're watching the video version of this podcast on YouTube. Some great photos of Barcelona for ISE. I think a mixed feeling for really up to the final month of ISE of whether people were going or not, and then people did decide to go a last minute. Sort of regrets, fear of missing out. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen a bit of ISE. I'm definitely going next February. I didn't get to InfoComm. I'm going to hold off on InfoComm for 2 years and hopefully get there in Vegas in 2 years' time. But I was at LTSMG in Norwich with a colleague. Fantastic and great hospitality, and well done to Matt North for doing the LTSMG for 2022, and great. I would have loved to have seen more of the campus. Unfortunately we did miss, because of some problems with our flights, we did miss the tour around the campus, but a fantastic campus. And I won a lovely 65-inch TV, which is over here in my office as well, that I have connected an Xbox Series S up to as well. We'd probably be talking and you'd see me doing some product reviews of the Series S Xbox. I'm getting back into gaming, not a massive gamer, but in any stretch, but back into gaming as well. So if you'd like to get in contact with the program, you can tweet at AVTechJunkies. That is our hashtag on Twitter. You can also find all the details of how to get in contact with the program at www.allthingstech.ie. Okay guys, welcome along to my studio setup tour, and apologies if you notice any rubbish in the background. That's because, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, that we heard a little bird in the eaves of the attic, and we had to go and see could we rescue it, and we didn't find the bird afterwards, but I found some bird droppings in the eaves of the attic, and then had to try and figure out where the bird got in, and we still haven't figured that out. But the bird got out just as quick as it got in. But there's loads of storage boxes that we have to still put away in the eaves of the attic. But this is my studio setup. Two 27-inch Dell screens. You have the Elgato Keylight Mini on the Elgato multi-mount and adjustable. We have the Elgato face cam camera up the top of one, and great light in my attic. See that? 3 Velux windows side by side, and the blinds as well that I can pull down. And then I have the Logitech C920 HD camera as a secondary screen. I have my small Apple Mac keyboard and the M1 Mac there. A couple of hard drives. They are not solid state hard drives. I am upgrading them to solid state hard drives. The Elgato Stream Deck there. The A-Logic docking station, that goes into my Mac because Macs are just awkward when it comes to dual screens or anything bigger. So the A-Logic with the DisplayLink adapter is great for that. So I could put 3 screens on if I want, but the size of the table, I'm just happy with that. My Facebook portal that's connected to my Zoom, so that I have to do a quick Zoom call. That's grand there if I need to schedule them. I have my Behringer mixing desk and my new rack unit. I know, I do have a compressor, optimizer and limiter there at the top by Behringer as well, like my Behringer range. Yes, CD players. I did decide to keep the CD players. It's great to have just some background music if you're doing event calls or virtual events. All powered through a Furman power supply, and then a rack cabinet as well. Just some space there. But like the nice thing is it's nearly the same height and the same colour as my table. IKEA table. Just simple IKEA table if anyone asks. And I've tidied up all my cables with a Staggy's cable management system. I'm going to go around the back here to show you. So nice tidy cables, as tidy as possible, and they go down, and then my mic arm. But down the bottom here, just a nice cable tray that I bought on Amazon, and I can put the link in the show notes, and goes right around the back. And all my plugs, I have one being my home plug for faster internet connection, because I am up in the attic and I noticed I was getting a pretty poor connection, so that's to just give me a faster speed. And one plug all going into my power supply on my rack, where I can switch off everything, and as you can notice it's quite silent here as well. So there you go, that's my new studio set. Oh yeah, the headphones, love my headphones, AKG headphones, noise cancelling and very sweet. So there you have it, my studio setup, guys. As you can see, I have a nice green background there, a light green background, very relaxing, and I have a lovely green tree that my wife gave me in the room as well, and I have my mixing desk down there as well, on the other side. So there you have it, that's my studio. That's a very simple studio tour of what I have in my, but like expensive, yes, semi-professional expensive equipment that I've been collecting for years.
The All Things TechIE Podcast. Subscribe, like, and share.
Well, so much other stuff has been happening in the world of audiovisual and tech. And later on in the program, I'm going to be interviewing Olivier Blais. Olivier is the co-founder of Moov.ai and an expert in data science, machine learning and artificial intelligence. He appeared at the Dublin Tech Summit, something that I missed because I was actually in Germany with work, doing an Erasmus Plus project where I'm looking at technology with healthcare. And I can throw up that link in our show notes as well if you like to see what type of technology in healthcare we're doing. So it's an Erasmus Plus project. That's not easy to say in one sentence. An Erasmus Plus project, and I have been over in Germany, and also a team in Poland, a team in Dublin with my university, and also in Georgia. And we're looking at digital healthcare. and it's a busy project. It is a busy project, so it's kept me on my toes. Now, where do we start? Well, we mentioned about InfoComm and ISE. I think the coolest thing that I've seen coming out of ISE and InfoComm was LG Business Solutions USA has introduced the company's first multi-purpose customer service robot, the LG CLOI GuideBot. The new mobile robot is designed to operate in concierge and security operations, primarily for retail clients. The robot features two large vertical LCD touchscreens, one on the front and the other on the rear of the robot. The robot features a friendly digital face to engage users in an interaction. The robot can freely navigate throughout a facility and lead visitors to specific areas of the facility. The entire robot is designed to revolutionize the customer experience virtually everywhere, from museums and convention centers to movie theaters and hotels. The LG CLOI GuideBot is making its official debut at InfoComm 2022. So it did appear in InfoComm. Have a look at the video. This is I really like that. I would love a robot. Yeah. If LG want to donate a robot for product testing, we'll put it in the attic here and have a walking around and saying hello to me. Do you know what? You have to say, has the likes of Zoom and Microsoft Teams, have they died down during everything going back to normal, or what we consider normal? I think it's still like Zoom is ahead of the game still, and doing virtual hospitality suite programs with their new digital signage. I think that's fantastic. We'll have a look at this. Yeah, that's the new Zoom hospitality suite idea, and Zoom Phones is grown, and they've won a couple of awards at InfoComm as well, and our whiteboard system and Zoom events. I'm still as busy doing support calls for Zoom events with XTS as well. So it's still busy. It's still busy, and I think like the technology has been put into these university higher ed locations. They've been put into businesses now. Even when I travel into Dublin City now, I've been in a couple of times for different projects and personal reasons, and you know what, like, you still see that traffic is still light. I know it's the summertime now, it's July, it's still like schools are off now and people are traveling on holidays and so forth, but it seems that businesses are downsizing. The employee capacity in the workplace is still working from home. And then the cost of petrol. We talked about this previously, and we'll talk about it again at some stage. But I think the likes of Zoom and working from home and the tech is still here to stay. And I think at a later stage we'll talk again about the technology you should have at home as well. Do you like my new studio setup? I hope you do like my new studio setup, and we'll be going more into depth in other videos, and you can see them on our YouTube channel of my setup, and always willing to give advice for any person that's setting up their home studio of what they should put in. But I really love this camera, the Elgato face cam camera. It's high definition, it's great, and yeah, I love it. I love it a bit. I still need to fix up a bit of the lighting, because you can't see around my headphones that I am using a green screen. This isn't me in front of Dublin City, but it works, doesn't it? It's a nice setting, and we have used it in our podcasts from the beginning, so why not keep using it? www.allthingstech.ie. You can tweet me at Justin or Dawson, or you can tweet the show at AV Tech Junkies, and Simon Lang will be back on one of our programs in the not so distant future as well, so stay tuned for that. Now, Simon actually was at Leonardo da Vinci. They did this whole exhibition in the RDS. Have a look at these videos, really spectacular. His company, Creative Technologies, was involved in the projection mapping of some of these things, and I'm sure Simon will talk to us at a later stage of what technology was put into the RDS for that display. But I didn't get to go along to it myself, but really hope to be able to see it myself before it finishes off the exhibition, but really cool technology, and I like the way they've taken all of DaVinci's designs and displayed them as well. If you're listening to the program as a podcast, you want to go back and have a look at the video on YouTube. For that, youtube.com/Justin Dawson is /C/Justin Dawson is the website to get on, and all the details of how to find us on YouTube is on our official website, www.allthingstech.ie. Now, what the new EU's new USB-C rules means for the iPhone, well, thank God there's some sense in the matter. Don't you hate when there's so many adapters and connections on laptops and technology? Well, it seems that the USB-C is the new step and it's here to stay. This week, the European Union lawmakers agreed on proposals to force manufacturers of everything from smartphones and headphones to digital cameras and tablets to use the same universal charging point, the USB Type-C. The plan is for new rules to come into effect by fall 2024, so another 2 years, after which these devices that charge using wired cable will need to do so via a built-in USB-C port. The single biggest impact of legislation is likely to land on Apple's iPhone. While the rest of the smartphone industry has gradually converged around the USB-C as a single standardized wired charging port, Apple has steadfastly struck with Lightning, the proprietary connector it introduced with the iPhone 5 back in 2012. The EU's legislation could finally force it to move on. The EU's rules are just a provisional agreement for now and will need to be approved by both the European Council and the European Parliament before they become official. That is expected to happen in summer recess, which ends in September the 1st. It will enter into force 20 days thereafter, and most manufacturers will then have 24 months to comply, which is where fall 2024 compliance date comes from. The exception is laptops, because the kind of high wattage USB chargers these devices require are less commonplace than phone chargers. They'll instead use 40 months, which brings us to the roll of the beginning of 2026. So the Lightning connection is going to go by the beginning of 2026. Goodbye to it, because I just hate the fact, and for years I have to say I didn't like Sony, because Sony were loyal to themselves with adapters, and you still see digital camcorders that are out there that have the most bizarre connections from Sony, and cameras as well that had digital cameras that had the most bizarre connections from Sony. Now they have got better, and I think it's just standardize it. It's like my late dad was an electrician for years, and the different type of screw top connections. Have you noticed there's a million different types of screw heads? Maybe you haven't. If you don't work in install, you haven't. Or if you're just interested in technology, you haven't really looked at screw heads. That's really, really where my life has gone to, guys. Really has.
The All Things TechIE Podcast. Subscribe, like, and share.
Is it a good thing that we bring out new connections or just a standardized connection? I think it is. It's the way to go. Let us know what you think. allthingstech.ie is our website. Tim Cook teased that Apple's working on an augmented reality or AR product in an interview with a state-run outlet China Daily, telling AR fans to stay tuned and you'll see what we have to offer. It reads as a direct hint that the company is working on some sort of headset, which is rumoured for years, unless of course he thinks people will actually be excited about using ARKit apps on their phones. In the clip brought to attention by 9to5Mac, the interviewer asked Cook what he thinks the key factors are for AR product to be successful. Cook responds by saying that it couldn't be more excited about AR despite it being in the very first innings of evolution. Well, AR and VR is still very much in the infancy, but be interesting to see does Apple play around with that. Microsoft has accidentally released Windows 11 for unsupported PCs. Face to palm, that was bound to happen, wasn't it? That they offer a software download going, would you like to install Windows 11? And then it absolutely bricks your PC because it isn't compatible, Microsoft released the final version of its next big Windows 11 update 22H2 to release preview testers on Tuesday, and accidentally made it available to PCs that aren't officially supported. Oops. Twitter were quick to spot the mistake, with hundreds of Windows insiders being able to upgrade their Windows 10 machine to older CPUs. Microsoft has strict minimum hardware requirements for Windows 11, leaving millions of PCs behind, so the mistake will once again highlight the company's controversial upgrade policy. Elon Musk, he was buying Twitter. He's not buying Twitter. Twitter is going to court with them. Elon Musk pulled out of a $44 billion deal to buy Twitter. Did anyone find this surprising that he was going to pull out? I certainly didn't. Like, for 44 billion, not million, billion. Would you not just set up your own social media network? He has the power, he has the Wi-Fi, he has the money to spend on setting up his own social media channel. But Elon Musk is seeking to end his 44 billion or 36 billion pounds to buy Twitter, alleging multiple breaches of the agreement. The announcement is the latest twist in the long-running saga after the world's richest person decided to buy Twitter in April. Mr. Musk said he had backed out because Twitter failed to provide enough information on the number of spam and fake accounts. Now, can we be honest here? Like, every social media platform has a percentage of fake accounts. You know, like, I say none is better than the other with regards to fake accounts. Twitter says it plans to pursue legal action to enforce the agreement. So, you know, it's starting in April, it's now July. Elon Musk has looked at the back end of Twitter, said, no, not buying it. And probably like the amount of non-disclosure agreements that have come into place and how much stuff he has seen behind the scenes of Twitter and his team have seen behind the scenes of Twitter. I'm sure Twitter is going, no, you have to buy it now. The Twitter board is committed to closing the transaction on the price and terms agreed with Mr. Musk's Twitter chairperson, Brett Taylor, wrote in a tweet, setting up a potentially long and protracted legal battle between two sides. The original merger agreement includes a $1 billion breakup fee. In May, Mr. Musk said the deal was temporarily on hold as he was awaiting data on the number of fake and spam accounts on Twitter. The billionaire businessman had asked for evidence to back the company's assertion that spam and bot accounts make up less than 5% of total users. I say every social media account. Now, I have no proof of this, but I say every social media platform has about, I say, 20 to 25% fake accounts, easily. In a letter filed by the US Securities and Exchange Commission, Mr. Musk's lawyer said Twitter had failed or refused to provide this information. So that's going to be a long battle, and we'll watch this space. Apple launches lockdown mode to block spyware attacks on at-risk users. Apple has announced a new security feature to protect high-risk users from spyware cyber attacks. Lockdown mode will be available in the autumn and the next operating system across all of the company's iPhones, iPads and Macs. This setting blocks certain functions and prevents unknown users from calling. It comes after Apple devices owned by activists, politicians and journalists were infected with spyware. Good move. You know, whatever secures your device more, it's worthwhile. Now, coming up next, we're going to talk with Olivier Blais from Moov.ai and all things artificial intelligence. We didn't get a chance to ask Olivier about the Twitter scandal, but we talked about some great AI. This is the All Things TechIE Podcast, episode 57. Yeah, so Olivier, thank you so much. And unfortunately, we didn't get to meet at the Dublin Tech Summit. I got delayed with a couple of other work projects. But I'll just start off and ask you to explain like a bit about yourself and how you got involved in the world of artificial intelligence.
Yes, definitely. So I started my career in business intelligence, being able to analyze data and extract trends and then try to impact strategies in businesses. And I realized it was so important to be able to take good decisions And at some point, what I realized is even if you do some simple graph and simple analysis, sometimes it's hard for people to understand what it is. We're so immature in analysis. And this is why it was about 10 years ago. And this is at that time, AI started to become more mainstream than it was, a little bit less academic. And this is why I said, you know what, at some point, with AI, we're able to automate decision making, these small decisions every day. And at some point, when you're able to take good decision, even if they are small, but in the aggregate, it makes a huge impact. And this is why I decided to be involved and make sure that this great technology that is usually that was more reserved for the academics could be used by real businesses.
Yeah, so I'm guessing even winding back before artificial intelligence and your career in AI, you studied computer science, I guess, in college, or how did you get interested in this end of things?
It was so I studied business intelligence. We learned how to code a little bit. I'm not the best developer, but we learned about how to leverage data to its fullest. So this is how I learned to exploit data, and then I learned the rest on myself. There's a very big, a very tight community out there. So it's all about trying to find the right resource online, get interested, do a lot of projects. So I did like a lot of projects before. I failed many times, but at least I learned. And at some point, at some point, I had done enough to justify, starting my own company. So I started a consulting company in AI because I felt like we could really deploy this type of solution in several different businesses. But yeah, it's all about the community and being able to find resource online.
So when was Moov.ai established?
So we started where? So we're in Montreal, in Canada, in fact.
Okay.
We're in Canada, and we started around 4 years ago.
Okay. So explain to some of our listeners what type of jobs, what type of customers come to you looking for jobs. Like, the world of AI is so large in so many different types of way. What are your main type of customers?
My main type of customer. This is a very good question. I would have trouble answering exactly what the right type of customer. In fact, the problem is because it's that we're across different industries. So it's not that we're not working with specific industries. We're working with organizations. Usually they're medium or large. They're quite large because it's really important to have enough data and to start having data hygiene, making sure that you're gathering the right information, and also your willingness to invest in these type of tools. But then after that, we're working. It's really use case specific. So usually we are either going to talk with organization, or organization can come to us from time to time and say, you know what, I would like to have this capability. I would like to solve these problems. So we're essentially business problem solvers. When the problem is very complex, usually we're able to find some good use cases for AI. When it's a really repetitive job, when you need a lot of information to take the right decisions, those are early signs that probably AI could be a good tool for you to get the benefit that you're looking for.
What's been the most exciting project you've worked on?
The most exciting, I have two different answers. One is a little bit more on the business side, and the other one, it's because sometimes we do some creative work. So on the business side, working, and it looks stupid because it looks like everyday work, but in grocery stores, being able to predict the demand for the articles, so every article that the grocery store need to order, can be quite challenging, especially with perishable goods. So how much meat do you need to order in order to make sure that you're able to meet the demand. It's quite difficult, especially when there's promotion and there's a weather impacting patterns, and it's super complex. But it's something that you see when you go in the grocery store. Sometimes when you go there and there's nothing out there because everything's back order, it's frustrating. And also it's frustrating so now that we're trying to cut a little bit now that we're trying to have a little bit greener initiatives, it's frustrating when we understand that some people, they are throwing away, or they need to transform, they need to almost give away meat and fruit, vegetables, because otherwise they will lose the product. So it's frustrating, and being able to build a solution that's able to predict this, I think it's very useful, and it helps a lot. So that's one, but like one that's very fun that we worked on. So we worked on we worked on two very similar use cases. So it was essentially to clone a person. Okay, so we cloned Noam Chomsky. I don't know if you know Noam Chomsky.
Yes.
So we cloned him, and we also cloned a journalist. When I say clone, of course, it's not a real cloning mechanism, but being able to understand a question from someone, then we created an algorithms that would generate an answer based on the Noam Chomsky's corpus, and then we even cloned his voice, so that it's like Noam Chomsky answer you back, and building this mechanism that's living and that's able to maintain a conversation. It's just super fun. There's not a lot of use. It's not useful. So I talked about a useful use case and a useless use case, but those are like very fun to work on.
We have an Irish news reporter who's Charlie Bird. I don't know, have you come across RT's Charlie Bird?
Yes, I heard.
Yeah, and they did a full algorithm because he's losing his voice because of MND. And I've looked at that and just went, wow, they just took his old news clips and they were able to recreate his voice. And to the extent that there was tears rolling down his face. So you might think of it as a useless case scenario, but this can recreate someone's voice that if they have diseases that are untreatable. It's incredible.
I agree. In fact, it's not useless. I think it was a powerful word. It's useful, like you said. So there are use cases. BBC, I don't know if you know, but BBC now are deploying, or have deployed, I have not followed, a radio with like a personalized host. So they will read to you the news, but it's a personalized host and completely autonomous. So it's useful. Some articles that are automatically written. So there's a very, like, in the full pattern of cloning a person, like the actual clone, it was more for like building an experiment, or like an art work. So it was very fun, and like there's something to it that's that lives in time. But also there are very interesting use cases that are hidden in there, and it can generate a lot of value. I like the example that you provided.
Yeah, but people will ask, and listeners will always ask, and even I ask at times, when have we the ethics of when we have taken it that step too far? So, for example, like you have the likes of internet banking, that's some places in America, and I'm sure in Canada as well. They use your voice for security recognition. When does it get to the stage of going, well, if someone can clone my voice, they can also could also pretend that it's me.
It's absolutely right. You're totally right when you're saying there's some ethical boundaries that are probably getting crossed at some point, and definitely. So when we did the last clone. It sounds funny when I'm saying this, but when we build the last project, we used a product from Microsoft. It's called Neural Voice. Okay, so you use it to train the model, and it's very innovative. It's really state of the art. And honestly, it's so crazy how similar the voice gets to. And we compared the journalist. His name is Mathieu Gal. So we compared his voice against the clone's voice. It's almost the same. But on the good news, so Microsoft is very tight on the ethics. So we had to do a lot of things. We had to fill up contracts. We had to even record. So the journalist needed to record this with his own voice, saying, "I authorize the Microsoft to do this and that and this and that." And we had a very, very specific contract. So we couldn't use this. So every time, for instance, every time the voice is playing, the other people need to know it's a bot and it's not a real person. You cannot try to you cannot mislead people. So they were very tight guidelines that we needed to follow, and I was encouraged when I saw this. The problem though is, and I know the community won't necessarily like this, but when it's open source, it can get dangerous when the algorithms, because now it's not like you're building the algorithms from scratch. I'm not building a model from zero. Now there are some models that are we say pre-trained, so they are already good, and you can just fine-tune them a little bit. Okay, but if it's open source, you can do whatever you want with it. And this is where it gets really dangerous. And this is one reason why, I don't know if you know GPT-3, it's a text generation algorithm, and it's very powerful, but this is why GPT-3 was, so Microsoft is now the seller of GPT-3. So GPT-3 now is under the Microsoft's umbrella under the wholesale side, because we wanted to have some control over these powerful algorithms. Otherwise, it can be very dangerous.
Yeah, and so this is a sort of more of a personal question. Do you see the fact that these type of pieces of software and algorithms, Microsoft obviously has it very locked down for developers like yourself. Do you see it in time that it's going to be more open and anyone could start becoming a programmer and be able to do these type of algorithms and create people, virtual people?
It's coming. So what's good? And I'm like, it's very hard to read the future. It's like we're talking about innovation. So these are my 2 cents, let's say. So in my mind, what's going to happen is these very big algorithms that are trained. So it costs so much in terms of just plain energy to train these models. It's not anybody who can just train GPT-3. It takes so many GPUs, so many servers to be able to get there, and also a lot of time. So in my mind, the organization that are training these models, they will then work. So these models will be protected. So no, I doubt that many people will try to reproduce these models by themselves. Instead, we will leverage these models and we will fine-tune, retrain. So I can give you an example. You can take a GPT-3. GPT-3 has been trained from the web. Okay, so everything that's written basically is part of GPT-3. But you could say, you know what? I will only try to write poetry with the GPT-3. So you could say, I'll take GPT-3 and then I'll fine tune it with every poems that I like. And then GPT-3 could write me new poems from scratch. So you fine tune it and like it's all like poetry is not very harmful, but you could say, you know what, I will build a capability using GPT-3 to create fake news on the Ukraine versus Russia war, for instance.
Right.
So
Okay.
you could, this is where it gets complicated. So now, because these algorithms will be locked down, so you will have to follow ethical guidelines. But then I think everybody will soon be able to do this, like this fine-tuning work, but following these ethical guidelines. So it's coming. It's called low code, no code platforms. So you'll be able to say, with like an interface, I want to use GPT-3. Here are different type of articles or poetry poems. Here are some poems, and I want to fine tune it, and then I can generate new poems. So it's coming very, very soon.
Now, you say that the length of time it takes. How long did it take for you to do your Noam Chomsky virtual person?
When you know what to do, and that's also another problem in the industry. So it can, in theory, it could take a month.
Okay.
A month to build that from A to Z, but usually it's not going to be it's not going to be a perfect experience. It will, it will have a lot of weaknesses, a lot of weak spots, and then you'll need to fine tune it. You'll need to enhance the capabilities. So where do you stop? And this is another challenge. So I don't know if you heard about Lambda 2, the Google chatbot.
Yeah.
So you could say, you know what, we'll build like a chatbot to be able to do a certain task. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be good enough. And usually in businesses, this is what you need. You need something that's good enough. It does what you need to get the benefit that you're looking for. But when luxury, these big cloud providers like Google, like the GAFAM in French, so anyway, the Google, Facebook, Amazon of this world. So they have a lot of people. They have big workforces working on these, and they're able to build these fantastic platform and models and algorithms. And like Lambda 2, for instance, is so good that people, they start thinking, and here the employee that says Lambda 2 is sentient. In my mind, it's not sentient. It's just a very good chatbot, and it's so good it misleads people in thinking it's human too, but it's not. It just learned from pattern from other humans in the past.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like we've all used these type of support bots on websites, and when you're looking for tech support, and sometimes you try and play with them. You just go, okay, like to see. Is this a bot or is this a human person? So you start asking them questions instead. But as you say, it's so realistic that they know that if you haven't answered something correctly, they'll go back and ask you. Let's go into the shopping end of things again. Now, actually, before we go into the shopping end of things, like that, we're talking a lot about text, we're talking about audio there. But I think the visual is still very much in its infancy with regards to when you start doing AI. Like I've seen some type of face swaps. You talk about propaganda videos. Some are getting very, very realistic, but it's usually around the skin and the lips movement. And at times you can say, hold on, in that frame, you can see the computerized image. Do you think it's getting better, or have you experimented with the visual end of things as well as the audio?
It's very difficult to have good video, good. I think images. It has been solved basically. With images now, you're able to build very, very realistic images. But with videos, the problem is the amount of images. So you need to have consistency. I think it's a different objective if you're thinking about it. So the objective about having something realistic. So that can be met. This image is realistic, great. But you have to have a lot of different images that are realistic and alike. So the image need to always be similar because you need to be consistent. So this is a very, very big challenge. But with images, this is dangerous. You see a lot of image already. It has impacted some even political scene. There were some scenes. I don't recall what country it was in Latin America, but one candidate needed to drop out of a race because his wife. So they were images about his wife having an affair. It was not even true. It was deep fake of her.
Wow.
So this is crazy, and this is why we need to invest in learning a little bit more about the technology, and we need to invest into learning how to identify what's real and what's not real. And this is a very big challenge. I know that Meta has invested a lot in there. I have not followed up, to be frank with you, what happened, but I know a lot of effort is still required to say, you know what, this is fake, this is not fake, this is true. Same thing with same thing with content. So now everything, and I'm super suspicious every time I'm going on the internet, because I know how easy it is to create fake content, to create fake images, to create fake clips. Mm-hmm. So we all need to be very, very careful and making sure that when you're reading article, you are thorough and you look at a lot of different sources before you take it as a fact.
Yeah, there's been Irish journalists who have claimed defamation against social media giants because their adverts were being played on these social media platforms and apparently advertising different products that they had no connection with, purely fake, but they won their claims. Shopping. So I noticed that in some of our stores now that we have in Dublin, I can go to a clothes shop, I can drop a pair of shorts, a t-shirt, a jumper into a clothes basket, and it automatically recognizes that that's a jumper, that's a t-shirt, and that's a pair of shorts. I think that algorithm is amazing. You talk about some of the Amazon shops in England that literally you don't have to barcode anything, you just walk out the door and it knows what you have taken off the shelves as products. Now, yes, I don't think we'll ever get away with from the online shopping experience because of COVID and more and more people shop online. But do you think this is the way things are going to go forward, that it's going to take away the need for staff and cashier desks and people are just going to be able to walk in and out of stores?
This is a good question. These capabilities are very interesting, and I know how it's built. It's like it's very precise and it learns when you pick it up. So it already knows, okay, this is the product, and then it's able to understand when you pick it up, and if you leave it at some place else, it will recognize it just based on your previous pattern. So this is quite interesting, and it's not even very difficult. The game is all about the cameras, the way they're built, being able to get everything. So it's not even difficult, but it's still a little bit early. So I don't think it's going to be mainstream anytime like soon. I don't think it's going to be 2022, 2023, but I think it's coming. And here, I think we should be. We shouldn't be too worried because I don't know if it's the same thing in Ireland, but like in Canada, for instance, one of the big challenge that we have is the scarcity of worker. So in some industries, in the retail store, in restaurants, it's really difficult to have people. In fact, in every industry, it's going to be really difficult to have the right staff, and usually you're dealing with a lot of vacancies. So in fact, these type of algorithms will help in Canada to try to reduce the need for workers because it's going to be super challenging to get them. And with the baby boomers getting retired, it's going to be more and more challenging in the next coming years. So I'm not sure if it's going to be completely mainstream, but it's going to help some of the companies getting around the scarcity of its workforce.
Yep, I totally agree. Oliver, I appreciate you giving your time up for this interview. Really interesting, and the end of artificial intelligence, that is a growing trend. Unfortunately, I would have loved to. I say if we met at the Dublin Tech Summit earlier this month, I say we would have sat for a good long time over coffee talking about all the different types of deepfakes and algorithms and ethics involved. If people want to hear more about you and your company, where can they find you?
You can find me online. Honestly, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. I'm a lot on LinkedIn, so you can find me at Olivier Blais on LinkedIn. I can maybe we can I'll share the video for sure, so we'll be able to find me. And also I'm out there at a lot of different conferences. So you can probably catch me at one of the AI conferences. So I'm traveling these days. It's pretty fun. It has been a long conference spring. Usually it's around May and June, but now it drags on, probably because of the COVID getting a little bit less serious. And now these events are in person, and they're going into July, and even there are some events in August. So definitely we'll be able to see each other in a future conference for sure.
Well, our thanks to Olivier Blais and everyone that's helped contribute to the All Things TechIE Podcast, episode 57. We are back. I'm so glad to say we're back, and I will be doing a lot more podcasts in the not so distant future. Simon will be joining us in episode 58. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Do look at our show notes on our website, www.allthingstech.ie. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.